Hello, welcome to lesson number 17 in Learn to Read with Bruce. Today we're going to go electric for a couple of the songs today. I'll be doing two different ones. I hope you've already done your exercises and you're ready to start reading along. As usual, Kevin will be pointing to the words while I sing the song. This is a parody I wrote many years ago. There's an old Beastie Boys song called Fight for Your Right to Party, and students that I had at the time made me listen to it one day, so I retaliated by changing the words to Fight for Your Right to Study. I still remember one of the kids telling me I really knew how to ruin a good song, because after he heard my version, whenever he played Fight for Your Right to Party, he couldn't help but hear the words to Fight for Your Right to Study. So here we go, with the distortion turned on and my little Terminator guitar. You're all set for school, man, you can't wait to go. You're riding on that bus, but it's moving too slow. Some kid's whining about all his homework. You wish he'd shut up and quit acting like a jerk. You gotta fight for your right to study. You catch someone cheating and you say, no way. You stole from me, now you're gonna pay. Cheaters and complainers are such a drag. No doubt about it, they make me gag. You gotta fight for your right to study. So get out of my school if you don't want to achieve. I'm a worker. If you're not, then you'd better leave. You say you want to know who's making all this noise? Let me tell you, friend, we're the study boys. You gotta fight for your right to study, study, study. You gotta fight. A little bit of feedback. Okay, so the reason I picked this song, not just to be silly, is because one of our units today is the IGHT unit, I-G-H-T, and of course it's featured in the title and throughout the song here. So fight and right have the IGHT unit. We also have the OW unit. Before we get too much farther along with them, I'm going to switch guitars because it's time now for the unit song. All right. I'm going to mellow out a little bit, let the electric guitar rest. Or maybe I should play electric. Let's try it with the electric. The kids always liked it better with the electric. Let's go electric. I'm losing my battery, I think. Able, able. Ack, ale. Ain, ache, ache. And. Art. Asian. A. Can. Cent. Ed, E. L, N. Ent. S. Est, ick. Ite. Il, im, ing. Ip, ish, ist. O, ock. Oi, old. ooh, or, ound, 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 oh, ow, ow. Oi, oi, shun, 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 I think we're definitely losing battery power there. All right then. Now let's take a look at the sounds and units for lesson 17. I already told you we have the IT unit. So Kevin's going to put them up on the whiteboard for us. There we go. A little higher. How high can we go?
There.
Okay, we good? So our single, only one letter for lesson 17, the letter V, like victory or voice or vow. Pretty much sounds like V all the time. I can't think offhand of a case where it doesn't. But here's our IT unit. IGHT pronounced IT just about all the time is just like that. I can't think of a word right now that doesn't sound like IT that has that unit in it. Unless there's another vowel in front like the vowel E and turns it into the word eight. But most of the time it's going to be IT. Now, if you noticed in the unit song the last couple of weeks, this actually has two sounds, O and ow. So we'll do both of them. Just pick one and you'll find hopefully the right one for the word you're trying to read. A bunch of sight words this week, but again, most of them are ones we've already seen. You have again or again, me, up, go, there, and where. These are all instant words here. Did, didn't, do, and don't. Now, notice we have a couple of contractions here. Didn't, short for did not. Don't, short for do not. And of course, the apostrophe takes the place of the O in not. So contractions just shortening a couple of words into one. We have, 3, 6, 10 of them this week. But most of them we've already seen in a lot of our other reading, especially with our instant words. So make a couple words. Let's take a look at IT for a second. And you can just go through the alphabet or use some of our blends like bright, or we saw fight for your right, sight, and there's lots of ones you can make with IT. The O, ow, bow, also pronounced bow, cow, sow, how, or row, mow. And then another interesting combination, if we take this unit here and we change a letter in front of it, we can have now, but then we add a K, and now becomes no. So, it's got a double pronunciation, but that's okay. We're getting towards the end of the lessons, and you should be more flexible and skilled in your reading ability. So I think we can handle a unit that actually has two pronunciations, O and ow. Now, I've been singing it that way for about 5 or 6 weeks now, too, so it shouldn't be a big surprise. Before we move on, I do want to address one thing. Kevin, you can go ahead and take it off there. 2 weeks ago in, I think, lesson 15, I talked about the letter Y. I talked about it at the end of the words, and I kept saying that it always sounds like E, like silly, or funny, or goofy, or happy. But there's also the case in the end of a word where it sounds like another vowel, like Y, like I, buy, my, fly, sky, and so forth. And again, we've had that in a lot of instant words, but I didn't want to confuse the issue. Maybe some of you noticed my oversight there, but in any case, want to clear it up. So Y can be an I or an E at the end of a word. Let's go ahead on then to our story number 17 from the Caldwell book. As I said before, I can't read the whole thing. We'd be here for another hour just reading the story. You're going to see some of the same characters that we had last week, and they've moved on to a different part. The title of story 17 is The Creepy Forest. And there's Blanche and Mike, who we did meet in story number 16. And they're on a kind of a quest now. So this is just chapter 1. They're going into a forest. Chapter 1, the forest. And here we go. Let me get the pen all set here. And their partners working together. They were going to take over the chicken ranch, hopefully. The forest. The partners walked slowly into the creepy forest. "What trail should we try, Blanche?" said Mike, pointing to Spike's chart. "See? The chart that Henny Penny found shows trail 1 and trail 2. "I see," said Blanche, peering at the chart. I say we start with Trail 1. Trail 2 is by Wish Lake, and it is very hilly by the lake. That sounds swell, said Mike. Frankly, my portable wheels don't work well on hilly terrain. We should start with Trail 1. Now they are going through the forest and hearing some noises like moan, the big moaning sound. Mike started wheeling down Trail 1 with Blanche on his tail. Deeper into the forest, the daylight started to dim. The trees were blowing and howling and moaning. Notice there's our O and our ow and our ite. Wow, it's noisy in this forest, wailed Mike. My hands are starting to shake. It's the trees, Mike, said Blanche. They certainly are noisy, said Mike with a scowl. Why would it be difficult to use Mike's portable wheels on hilly ground? Well, obviously if he's in a wheelchair, hills are going to be harder on the batteries. What is making the trees howl and moan? Blanche explains. It's the trees and the wind. Okay. And here they are looking, it's like a tree has fallen across their path, and Blanche is going to try to take care of it. The partners keep walking and wheeling down the trail. An oak tree is lying on the trail. It might be down from a storm, said Mike. Can you throw it into the weeds by the trail, Blanche? Blanche toiled and strained to cart the oak tree from the trail to the weeds and to make tracks for Mike's wheels. And then something odd is happening to her hat here. Wow, she said, that was work. I need a rest now, Mike. We need a rest, said Mike, stressing we. Wheeling up and down the hills by hand is work. The partners were still resting by the trail when Blanche started screeching. What is that? What is that creepy thing on that tree? She darted back to the trail. Why was Blanche frightened? Apparently something in a tree scared her. What do you think the creepy thing is? Let's just keep on reading and find out. There's the next picture. There is something on a tree in this picture here. Mike's smelling something that says yuck, and then there's another, looks like a weeping willow. Silly Blanche, cackled Mike. It's a tree toad. He wheels back to the trail, and the partners go on. Deeper into the forest, a rank smell on the trail makes Mike feel faint. This trip is a pain, wails Mike. We might not make it. But the partners keep on walking and wheeling. The trail ends right there, yells Mike. The chart shows a hill with that blackened cypress tree on it. I see a hill, and it has a bowed tree on it. What? It's a weeping willow tree. What do you think caused the rank smell on the trail? I have no idea. In the last page of this chapter, they're heading towards the willow. A hill, snorts Blanche. That's more like an anthill, and a weeping willow is certainly not a blackened cypress. Now what? That was not the right trail, wails Mike. Now we will have to take trail 2. See, it starts by this hill. The cypress may be on the lake shore. Yell when you see a lake. How did Blanche and Mike feel when they get to the bottom of the hill and see a weeping willow tree? Sound like they're a little disappointed, because now they got to take trail 2. And that's the end of that chapter. So we'll take a quick look at one of the pages. Do this page here and just search for a few units. Okay. I'm sorry, it's not unit search time. It's practice time, isn't it, Kevin?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so you just pull that aside. And our units today are eit and ow, or o, pronounced either way. I'm going to put them here for reference. Okay, Kevin.
Spell right.
Right. Well, obviously using my eit unit with a in front of it, R-I-G-H-T.
Change a letter to spell night.
Obviously, we're going to change the beginning sound, so I've got my I-G-H-T, and he said night, and that's the N sound.
Make 2 changes to spell a boy's name, Dwight.
Dwight. So it's a boy's name. D is obviously a capital D because it's a name. W, there's Dwa, and there's my I-G-H-T. You got a clear shot there, Jerry, or am I on the way?
No, you're okay.
Okay.
Spell now.
Changing units, the N sound for the beginning, N-O-W gives us now.
Change 1 letter to spell cow.
Cow, we want to get rid of the N and change to a C.
Change 1 letter to spell vow.
Again, changing just the beginning sound. V is our letter for this lesson. It's a V, and there's vowel.
Spell venting.
Venting, and we're going to use old units for this. We have the V sound again, V. I want my ent unit, which is E-N-T, and my ing unit, I-N-G.
Spell chicken.
Chicken, this is all review. Ch, we had that blend a couple lessons ago. That's ch, which is C-H. I want my ick unit, which is I-C-K, and my N unit, E-N, and there's chicken.
Spell chore.
Chore, I'm going to keep the CH, and I want one of my OR units, and I'm going to want the 3-letter OR unit here, O-R-E.
Spell and put in alphabetical order where, there, don't.
Where, these are some of our sight words for today, and there, and don't was one of the contractions. Well, D comes before W or T, so that's first. W-T, T-U-V-W, so T comes second. And we finish up with where. I had to kind of squeeze them in there. All right, now we're on the single sounds.
Write the letter of the last sound in love.
Love, last sound, not last letter, last sound, love. There's where our letter for this lesson, V.
Write the letter of the last sound in vent.
Vent, T, T. By the way, the last letter in love you probably know is E, but it doesn't make a sound.
Write the letter of the first sound in lights.
First sound, lights, lights, L.
Write the first letter of the sound in cooking.
Letter of the first sound in cooking, could be a C or a K. I'm going to go with C.
Write the letter of the third sound in Vandalia.
Vandalia was almost the name of the state of West Virginia. Vandalia, third sound, V-A-N. Vandalia. And if you know how to spell the word van, you've got it right there, which has the N unit, by the way, so we want an N. Here's Vandalia. This was one of the names that was considered for the name of the state of West Virginia.
Write a word that rhymes with vowel first alphabetically.
Okay, here's our owl words. The first one alphabetically would be cow.
Write a word that rhymes with slight first alphabetically.
Okay, so here's our eit words. We want the first one alphabetically. Well, D is way before N or R, so we're going to go with Dwight.
Write a word that rhymes with thicken.
Thicken. Let's look down here because these are eit, o, owl words. Venting, chicken. chore, don't there? I think chicken rhymes pretty well with thicken.
Write the letter of the sound that occurs twice in testing.
Testing, testing, testing. I hear 2 T's in there.
Write a 2-syllable word from lesson 17.
2-syllable. We've got quite a few. Right, night, white, now, cow. Venting, chicken. This will go with venting. It was the first one. Okay, so there we go. And the tip for lesson 17. Number 17, reading tip 17. Find the largest part of an unfamiliar word and then bounce around in the word to see if you can decode it. It's kind of like, I think, one of our previous tips we talked about using the units, which would be large parts of unfamiliar words. Here, if you can find an actual whole word in there, it might help you. Actually, if you look at the word unfamiliar, you can almost see the word family there. You have famil, and then you don't have the Y. So unfamiliar is one way to bounce around in it. Trying to think of a large word we could use. How about something like this? Is that showing up okay? That's blue. That's kind of light, isn't it?
No, it's if you go down just a little bit.
Okay. Let me just grab a darker marker. How about this one?
Good.
This. That's a nice long word. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 letters. Okay. If you look at that word, I can see a couple words inside of there. I see some units too. Here's an and. Here's an ing. Okay. Oh, look, there's an st. There's standing. Okay. Here's another unit, So those are things we can use. That's the only units we have. But if you look here, you've also got the word under. So we also have the word stand and standing. So all we need to do is figure out what this is. Miss. So misunderstanding. It was just a big misunderstanding. So that's one way that you can take apart some of these bigger words and hopefully figure out what they are by looking for smaller words inside of them. Okay? Instant words. We're on the second set today, right, Kevin?
Yes, we are.
I guess I better erase misunderstanding before we have misunderstandings. And I think this will be the last time for this set. As I've said before, they're on the internet. They're at our local Elkins Randolph County Library. You can get a copy and just drill yourself on them all the time. And we're at 226 to 250, right?
Yep.
So we got left, don't. Hey, there's one of today. This is one of today's sight words from the Caldwell lesson. Few, while, along, might. There's an ite word. Isn't that handy? Close or close. Something, compound word. There's our ing unit. Seam has the e unit. Next, hard, open. There's the n unit. Example. Speaking of words within words, amp is in the middle of example, which is short for amplifier. Begin, life, always. There's our a unit. Let's go ahead and move up a little bit, please. Okay. Those, both, paper, unit. Together, unit. And actually, you can see 3 words in this word. To, get, and her, but we pronounce the th as the, so not t and h, so it's together. Got, group, often, en unit, run, and important. And again, here you can see in the middle of important, we have the word port, but we also have an m unit, an or unit, and an an unit. So either way, you can figure that one out for yourself. And it is a 9-letter word, but it's an important word. All right, the unit search with the Elmo. Let's go ahead and put a page up there. We'll do a little bit of unit searching. Actually, I still kind of enjoy this activity myself because I used to do it with the kids. I may have mentioned in an earlier lesson I had one girl in particular. She always enjoyed it. I had them find the units in the songs all the time that I gave them, that we've been doing on the lessons. And go ahead and slide it up some if you would. Yeah, I want to get rid of the, oh, it's in the way, isn't it? Okay, well, we'll just do it with part that's there. I had one girl who just loved it when she found one that I missed. Made her feel great. I always gave her bonus bucks and prizes for that. So we have or and est, art, ed, o. There's one of today's units. We have ite and o, al. E, or, est, ale, sight word, sight word, sight word, and, ike, oi, ing, ike, art, e, art, sight word, n, there's the y sounding like an e at the end, henny, penny, ound, oh, there's today's, ale, sight word, and, word and unit, ale, sight word. Two more lines, e, and, e, ing, art, a, art, sight words, ale, ish, ache, and, ill, and ache. So again, bunches and bunches of units, because that's how Ed's built the program, to help reinforce those sounds that are consistent in our language. Okay. And now it's time for a little bit of technology, although I'm kind of going in reverse this week with the technology. Well, I guess I better erase the circles. The last several weeks I've shown you, a couple weeks ago I showed you some electronic speaking dictionaries. And those are nice if you can afford them. But if you can't, you go to a yard sale and get a decent used school dictionary, and you're still just as well off. I think I did mention one of the things I found with the electronic dictionaries is that they don't always give you the right pronunciation for words. So I've got a Webster's School Dictionary here I just borrowed from Mrs. Roth's classroom. Brand new edition. It was probably brand new about 20 years ago, but besides the point. And I marked the page here. I want to show you something. I'm in the E's here. And elements is one of the worst. But down at the bottom right-hand corner of each page, here's the important thing to do. If you're going to get a dictionary, make sure it gives you this pronunciation guide. All right? Theirs is all in the corner. My collegiate dictionary at home, it goes along the bottom of the whole page, down at the very bottom. But they put it here. So if you look at a word like, let's just slide over here, find one. Here's the word electrum. Now, right beside that, they have, I need to make it bigger, Jerry?
I got it.
Okay. They have the pronunciation key. And notice they have the letter I there, and then they have an L-E key, which would be L-E-K, which would be lek, and T-R upside down backwards E. So let's go over here and take a look at the key and see what all that means. Here's an I, like in tip. So, is the sound of that first E, and then lek, which was just the E with no symbol over it, like right there, like in pet. And then the upside down backwards E is what they call the schwa sound. And there it is. And it sounds like a but. Further. Okay? So is the sound of the upside down backwards E. So we're going to go back to, where's our word, electrum here. So it's electrum. Electrum. Yeah, naturally occurring, pale yellow, alloy of gold and silver, and so forth. But it's nice to make sure if you're going to get a dictionary that has this guide to the pronunciations. Otherwise, you're still going to be lost. I was just looking at some of the local stores this past week, and they did have some very inexpensive dictionaries, but they didn't have this pronunciation key. And without that, you're really kind of out of luck. Let me show you one of my, well, I'll show you one of my favorite words in the next one. We're going to talk about the accent marks. But for right now, just remember, if you get a dictionary, check to see if the bottom of each page has the pronunciation key. I did find one yesterday. It had a pronunciation key, but it was only at the very front of the dictionary, which means you'd be flipping back and forth anytime you're looking up a word. See, this one has it at the bottom of every page, and that's a whole lot more useful. Okay? So, and the dictionary, you can pick them up at a yard sale for probably $1 or 50 cents. So that's a lot cheaper than the electronic ones. Plus, then you can play the game of figuring out the pronunciation for yourself, which to me is more rewarding. Okay. Real life reading, I want to read you a little selection from a book by a good friend of mine. Okay. This fellow's been to Elkins Middle School twice. His name is Bruce Covell. There he is down. Where is his name there? Oh, right at the top. Okay. And we've read these books over the years with classes of mine and with whole teams. And I asked Bruce to come back last year for my last year as a teacher, and he was kind enough to do that. So he'd been here twice. Elkins Middle School actually is the first school he ever visited in West Virginia. This is the fourth in a series of 4 books about kids who are worried about aliens who seem to be wanting to take over or destroy the planet. This is the 4th one, and it actually has sold more copies than any of his other 3. The first one was a book called My Teacher's an Alien, which my wife bought for my daughters when they were little. And I always had an interest in extraterrestrial things and that sort of thing, so the books caught my eye, and I really enjoyed reading them to my kids and then ended up using them here in school. But this is the end of the book, and the one character named Peter, who's kind of a shy kid who just loves to read science fiction, he has to speak to the Alien Council to explain to them why they have no right to mess with Earth, especially when some of them want to blow it up. So here's Peter speaking to the council, and I think Bruce gets into some of his best thematic material here. So it's chapter 21, The Master Plan. Here's Peter speaking. Beings of the galaxy, I said, I come to you as a representative of a troubled people to speak of a crime committed against us. My friend and teacher, Hulan, committed this crime, a crime forbidden by your own laws. He has agreed to let me speak to you of it and seek compensation. I paused while the 8 members of the council made their various expressions of dismay. Here is what happened, I continued when they were quiet again. Years ago, Hulan secretly slipped us information on how to create television, a technology for which we were not ready. This intrusion by the being who was once prime member of your council has caused great damage among my people. Therefore, I now wish to file a claim on behalf of the people of Earth, seeking total restitution for the mental capacity lost to television. The council members all began to talk at once. I waited until Red Seaweed had called them back to order. What is your request? It asked, sounding as though it had a fish caught in its throat. One of the themes of Bruce's books, by the way, is that so much on television is kind of a waste of our time. But not this show. This is a good show. Right, Jer? Give us teachers, I said to him, to the galaxy. His stalk shot out in astonishment. What? I asked you to send us teachers. Though we have discovered the truth about our minds, merely knowing that we are all connected is not going to solve our problems. We need to learn to reopen that connection. We need to harness our power. We need your help, we need help doing that. Send us teachers, the best you have, because teachers and children can change the world. Send thousands of them, hundreds of thousands if you can find them. If you do, then perhaps in 20 or 30 or 40 years, we of Earth may finally be ready to take our rightful place in the universe. The aliens sent us out of the chamber while they discussed my suggestion. Oh, Peter, said my father, putting his arm around me, that was well done. I am so proud of you. After 2 of the most frightening hours I have ever spent, the aliens called us back to the council chamber. Krepta, now that's Peter's alien name, by the way. Krepta, said the purple tentacled alien, we have discussed your suggestion. We want to know this. Will you be willing to stay on Earth to help with this mission? I stared at him. Stay on Earth when all I had ever wanted was to go to the stars? There's Peter, by the way, speaking to the council. But I had seen the stars, I had been to another planet, and I had found something else, the thing I had wanted most of all, from before the time I had met Broxholm. I had my father back. More than that, I had been made a witness to the best and worst of what we are. I knew things that had to be shared. I knew from my visit to Hulan's planet that peace was possible. I knew, too, the terrible things on Earth that needed to be changed. I looked at the aliens. Earth is my home, I whispered. I will stay and help. Then we will send the teachers, said Red Seaweed, and eagerly await the day when Earth is ready to join us. The first group of teachers arrives this summer. They have to stay in disguise, of course, until Earth is better able to deal with the idea. But it's the beginning. So if you get a teacher who's a little unusual next year, a teacher who expects a lot from you, well, who knows? Maybe you just got a tough cookie. Or maybe you've got someone who's preparing you for a trip to the stars. But you don't need to worry. This time around it won't be by kidnapping. It will be by invitation. So there's a little bit of Bruce Covell. He also has some other books, short stories that I've enjoyed. Most of his stuff is written for young adults, but he's written a couple of books called Oddly Enough and Odder Than Ever they're enjoyable for adults too. So anyway, I think he's also an excellent speaker. He gave some speeches to the kids here at the school that we just thought were fantastic. I had some teachers tell me they thought it was the best assembly for our kids they ever saw. So, guy just has a lot of charisma. He lives not too far from here in Syracuse, New York. So, that's it for the reading. We're going to finish off with a medley today. And of course, we want to thank everybody before we go for the use of the building, Mr. Carr, Dee Roth for the use of your room, Dr. Ferris for the use of the permission to use the county facility, and Kevin on Elmo and Jerry on camera. Really appreciate everybody's help, and I hope we still have enough battery for this. Yeah, I think we do. So we got a little medley here. Can we focus the camera just for a second at my feet, Jer? There they are. The first tune that we're going to play is a thing called Blue Suede Shoes, and I'm wearing mine today. These were probably the favorite shoes of my students. They always enjoyed them when I wore them. So anyway, we got Blue Suede Shoes and Hound Dog. And here we go. Oh, one of the things about why I wanted to do Blue Suede Shoes, by the way, up here real quick, the word suede. It has the ed unit, but does not sound like ed. It looks like suede, but it's suede. One of those weird English words. Probably comes from another language, maybe French, I'm guessing, but anyway. Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show. 3 to get ready, now go cat go, but don't you step on my blue suede shoes. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoes. Well, you can knock me down, step on my face, slander my name all over the place. Do everything that you want to do, but honey, lay off of them shoes, hey, don't you step on my blue suede shoes. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoes. Burn my house, steal my car, drink my cider from my old fruit jar. Do anything that you want to do, but honey, lay off of my shoes, hey, don't you step on my blue suede shoes. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoes. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Sorry, Kevin. We'll get it together. Ready? You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. When they said you was high class, well, that was just a lie. Said you was high class, well, that was just a lie. You ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. And that'll be it for lesson 17. See you next time.